Well, good morning. This is Ian Rowland Crane. It's early morning in early September of 2017. And I'm standing directly in front here of the Third Energy well site. This is the well site known as KM8. Now, there's not much going on here at the moment. As you can see, the only thing that's on the site is the Environment Agency's monitoring unit. And this is to establish some baseline testing on air quality before Third Energy actually arrive on the site here. At the center of the site here is the well. This is a well that was drilled some 4 years ago, a little bit deeper than they had permission for, goes right down to the bedrock beneath the Bowland Shale. Now, Third Energy have permission to return to this well site and to frack this existing well. And they are planning to do a 5-stage frack job here. The reality is that only the first stage would actually be designated as a frack under the definitions prescribed in the Infrastructure Act of 2015. But the reality is, of course, that it is a frack. And they will be using something just shy of about a million gallons of water, fresh water, of course, in this process. And this is simply to establish the potential flow rates from this area and the Bowland Shale. Now, the reality is that Third Energy are very much in a financial hole. Their reported fiscal position is that they are in excess of £50 million in debt, a negative net worth in excess of £50 million. In reality, it's estimated that their true debt is probably closer to double that. Third Energy are in desperate need of a cash injection or a buyout. So they are hoping that they get the appropriate flow rates here, and then most probably INEOS, Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS will step in and acquire Third Energy. Of course, INEOS recently acquired Moreland Energy, who have the license to the north of here, and a joint project with Third Energy on Eberston Moor, about 10 miles to the east of here. So, because this is an existing well, the likelihood is that this will be the location that will be subjected to the first actual frack since the frack in Priest Hall in 2011 on the Fylde Peninsula, where Cuadrilla fracked into a fault which triggered some fairly significant seismic events, significant in respect of the UK, where seismic activity is quite unusual, certainly to the degree of 2.3 on the Richter scale. So, although Cuadrilla arrived at the site that they have permission to frack in January, they are now some 4 or 5 months behind schedule due to the protector activity. Although Cuadrilla claim that they're still on schedule, or they're where they expected to be in the scheme of things, the reality is they are a long way behind schedule. They're making mistakes. Right now it looks like they have some downhole problems. It looks like they've been removing part of the conductor casing. There's a possibility that they've got a well collapse. But, you know, the gold standard regulations that are bandied around left, right and centre by the industry, by the government, by the regulators, don't include transparency. So despite the physical evidence that Cuadrilla have problems, neither the Environment Agency, the Health and Safety Executive or Cuadrilla are actually admitting to anything yet. They're also, of course, they've established their pad on what is effectively a water meadow, and they are having enormous problems getting rid of the water, both from the rain and also the water that collects there from the ancient watercourses. And of course they tapped into an aquifer which was pressurized at a greater pressure than they had anticipated, and they had to deal with that little problem as well. So much for a gold standard industry. Well, the reality is that in the next few days the police are holding a meeting with the local community to talk to the local community about the likely effects of 600 plus heavy goods vehicles coming through their village over the next few months. And also next Thursday, on Thursday the 7th of September, there will be a further meeting at the village hall where the local community are invited to come along and speak to the regulators. Now, last Thursday Third Energy held a drop-in meeting, and the consensus of people coming out was that Third Energy were basically lying, deceiving, and obfuscating in terms of the facts. And basically, it actually helped to germinate the view that this is an industry, and in particular a company, that has total disregard for the will of the local community. They have no experience of this industry, and they simply blag. And what they're hoping, of course, is that they wing it and they get away with it. But the track record of this industry is that that's extremely unlikely. And of course, in a recent radio interview, Kevin Hollinrake effectively stated that even though he believes that there should be a 1 mile exclusion zone between a fracked well and any residential dwelling, the fact that the entire village of Kirkby Misperton lies within that 1 mile radius, he stated in a live radio broadcast that in his opinion it was a better option to frack an existing well and put the local community at potential risk than get Third Energy to drill another well further away from the village. This is the attitude of politicians, particularly the Tory politicians, of course, and the attitude of Third Energy. So we would very much like to encourage people to come down to the Kirkby Misperton Protection Camp and meet the protectors there, but to also go along to the Kirkby Misperton Village Hall on Thursday the 7th of September, anytime between 2 and 7 p.m, and meet the Health and Safety Executive, the Environment Agency, Public Health England. Apparently Rydale District Council are going to be there, so considering that Rydale District Council voted against having fracking within the community, it's going to be interesting to see what their representatives have to say. So here we are. It's a beautiful late summer morning. I'm standing looking across the stunning Vale of Pickering, and this is prime agricultural land, and the thought of this being subjected to the abomination of unconventional gas exploitation really doesn't bear thinking about. It will ultimately lead to the absolute destruction and the devastation of this beautiful landscape, the industrialization of what is ostensibly an agricultural community, and of course the other industry here, tourism. And I must confess that I cannot think of a single location anywhere on the planet where a gas field doubles as a tourist attraction. And the absurdity goes even further, because just a few miles up the road here there is a massive holiday village being developed, and the centerpiece of this holiday village is another Third Energy gas well, albeit a conventional gas well. Now I must confess that if this was a conventional gas well, then I probably wouldn't be here, but it's not. It's unconventional gas, and what is proven everywhere, and I mean everywhere in the world where this industry has established a footprint, it has led to contamination of the water, the soil, and the air. And the fact that our government and the industry refuse to acknowledge the problems that have occurred, or simply dismiss it and saying, oh well, that's America, or that's Canada, or that's Australia, this is the UK. We don't have any better regulatory control, and the reality is that you cannot regulate this industry. You cannot regulate geology. So, basically it is Russian roulette with the UK ecology. And of course, the entire north of England, with the exception of the High Pennines, has been licensed. This is effectively ecological warfare on the north of England. And although the problems may not manifest like they did in Australia for a couple of years, once the problems do start to manifest, if this industry kicks off, it's too late. You cannot turn the clock back. The people who work in this industry are either willfully ignorant or they are sociopathic, because it is not possible to look at the evidence, the plethora of evidence, and the 900 plus academic papers that have been written on unconventional gas exploitation, which prove beyond any reasonable doubt that this is an industry that has no place in North Yorkshire, no place in the UK, and in reality, no case on the planet. So if you are disturbed by this dash for gas, this rush to establish an unconventional gas industry in this country, then please, if you live to the west of the Pennines, please go support the protection community and the local community at Preston New Road, just outside Blackpool. If you live to the east of the Pennines, then please come across to North Yorkshire, to Kirkby Misperton. Come to the protection camp where you will meet the local community. The protection camp is a hub for the local community and the protectors, and to share information and to discuss the ways in which this industry can and must be stopped. So this is a beautiful day. I'm going to go back to the Kirkby Misperton Protection Camp right now. Unfortunately, this well site in the very near future is going to be home to a, I think about 120-foot rig. The lights will be blazing 24/7. They'll be working here 24/7. They'll be looking to move infrastructure on and off the well site between the hours of 9 AM in the morning and 7 PM in the evening. So it's going to be a very interesting autumn. So thanks very much, and once again, as I always say, please do your own research. I don't expect anyone to take anything that I say at face value. That's not the purpose. The industry and the government want you to. They want you to believe that, you know, they've got it all and you can go away and go home and just relax. But if you do that, then you'll be doing exactly what they want. They are very concerned about the rapid growth in awareness. It is exponential, because we know that once people do look at this and they see the magnitude of the damage, then they will realise that they actually have to be here or at Preston Road or in the south of England, working with the communities at Leith Hill, just outside Dorking in Surrey, or at Billingshurst, to help prevent this industry becoming established. I will catch you later. Thanks a lot.